Hey guys, Dr. Ben here, FA Will Centers. I'm going to talk today about blood work and why blood work is the most important thing that you can do to get your health back right now. If you don't know what is truly going on inside of your body, you're only guessing. And if you're guessing, then it's like flipping a coin. And you're like, do I take this magnesium, or do I work on my adrenals, or I've heard about this leaky gut thing. Do I need to do some glutamine for my leaky gut, or should I eat some sauerkraut? What you need to know is sitting there in your blood work right now, and unfortunately, it's not being looked at the appropriately way when you go in for your annual physical, when you go in to see your PCP, when you just get your insurance blood work done. These things are not being looked at. They're not being evaluated. And I'm going to go over the things that you need to do today. If you go to your doctor today and say, I want my blood work done exactly this way, and I want these things done, you are going to see phenomenal changes in your health, because you're going to be able to pull out of there what is truly going on. So welcome, FA Well Centers. We're all about getting to the underlying root cause. And the way we do that is by looking at the blood work and among other things, but looking at that blood work and throwing the net out wide. And so that's what we do every single day with patients, and that's what you need to do. You can't just run your CBC, your cholesterol, your glucose, and maybe a vitamin D and go, okay, that's my whole story. You need to look across the board. So we throw the net out wide and we say, okay, what is actually going on? And we look at hormones. So you're looking at testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, male and female hormones. You're looking at your adrenal hormones. You need to run these. And so I'll run through and give you a list when we're done exactly of what you need to do. So you need to see what your adrenals are doing. You need to see what your liver's doing. You need to look at your immune system, but not just, hey, do I have an infection going on, but what is truly going on? You need to look at inflammatory markers, autoimmune markers, full thyroid. We had a great webinar last month. If you guys missed it, I'll be doing that one again in the next couple months here. Look for the one coming out next week. We're going to be going over long COVID. So that's a special 1 hour webinar that will be coming out next week. And so with this, we're going to be able to figure out exactly what is out of balance. And so we throw that net out wide, and then we narrow it down, meaning if you look at the lab range for vitamin D, you're looking in that 30 to 108 is what our lab says is okay, or the reference range. But that has nothing to do with health. You have to narrow that down. So if you guys have your blood work at home, go get that. And I'm going to be going through some numbers here. Get your blood work and bring it out, and I'll tell you some markers. If you don't know, or if you've got questions, pop those down below. Also, let me know where you guys are watching from. We got a bunch of you on YouTube, Facebook, all over the world. Let me know where you're watching from. And if you had blood work done, did they do a full panel? And just like Terry says here, I really like my doctor, but I think he gets a little annoyed with me when I try to be specific about my requests and questions. Absolutely. That unfortunately in today's day and age, with the traditional medical model, the way it's set up with insurance, with how they have to deal, most of these are now owned by big corporations. They are now under the crunch. They're in this time clock. They gotta get in and out in 7 minutes. Even on the blood work side, if they request vitamin D and insurance doesn't pay for it, and then it's this $50 to $100, $150 fee added to that patient, and then the patient gets mad and then calls HR and yells at them and says, why am I having to pay for this, even though they requested it, but then they didn't know that they were going to have to pay for it because insurance didn't pay for it. And so it's very, very hesitant for a lot of these doctors to actually request these blood work panels like we need to, because basically they're afraid, because the insurance model may not cover it. The patient may get mad if they have to pay for it. And the panel that I just talked about, we've had patients that they said, oh, I can run it and I'll just go through my lab, and it'll be between $2,000 and $3,000 depending on where they go in the lab. For us, it's a couple $100. Hello there, Rafal in Oslo, Norway. Good to see you. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And so what we look at is you've got to get all that information. But if you just walk into the lab, walk into your doctor, you probably are not going to be able to get all that. They're not going to request it. We just had a lady this morning that called in. She's in New York, and she's like, "Hey, what codes can I use for Medicare? Medicare's not going to cover all these panels." That's why we've negotiated with the cash lab price lab that we use, and so we get that blood work. We can drop ship that kit anywhere in the country, and you just go to that local lab, get it drawn, and you're able to get that information. And then we're able to sit down. One of our FA doctors will sit down and go over the information. Hey, Mac, what would be symptoms of vitamin B deficiency there in South Africa? Good to see you. Vitamin B deficiency, one of the common ones that we see is low energy. And that's because there's this thing called a Krebs cycle inside the cell that makes energy in our body, and it brings B vitamins in, and it's going to kick out ATP, which is energy production, and carbon dioxide, which we breathe out every day. So in the blood work, if you see low carbon dioxide, anything under 20, then you probably have a B vitamin deficiency. So get out your blood work and look at carbon dioxide. If it's less than 20, you are probably deficient on the B vitamins. Bad reception. Okay. All right. I'm just turned on the Wi-Fi. Sometimes that's better. Sometimes it's worse. But let's see if that gets better in that one. So with the blood work, you've got to come from that perspective of just what is out of balance. Once you know those imbalances, then you can take action. Then you can actually do something to make a shift here. So the other thing that you need to do next time you have a blood work drawn is to do it non-fasting. So many people are stuck in this mindset of, I've got to do my blood work fasting. They say, I always do it fasting. My insurance, health insurance, they said, do it fasting. But here's the deal. You need to do a non-fasting blood work. There is value in fasting blood work occasionally, but non-fasting is going to be the best way we're going to see this. Hey, Ambient, there in Australia, good to see you. So here's the deal. When you're looking at that blood work and you're going into a fasting state, that's basically you've got 12 hours, you haven't eaten, what is going on? And what you're going to see is how well your body can adapt, how well the body can kick out of the liver glucose if it goes too low, how well, if that blood sugar's creeping up, we can kick out insulin and those insulin receptors can pull that glucose down, how well it can modulate and maintain homeostasis of that blood sugar. It's not telling us what's actually happening in the real world, because here's the deal. How often are you going around day in and day out fasting all day long, not eating? Most people are eating consistently throughout the day. So that's why we need to look at this non-fasting and see how your body can actually handle what's going on in that moment. We had a patient recently that looked at blood work, and she's like, I've never had a blood sugar issue. I don't know what's going on. But she had just eaten pancakes, orange juice, and her blood sugar was high. Her insulin was through the roof. But here's the deal. Her A1C was already in the pre-diabetic range, and yet she went to the doctor, had a fasting done, and they go, oh, you're pre-diabetic, eat better, lose weight, but your blood sugar is not really that big of a deal. But what we saw, and what we see all the time, we'll see people, their glucose, it'll say critical level in the 50s and 60s on their glucose, because that blood sugar is crashing down. And you can catch that in the middle of the day, in the middle of eating and just what you're doing, versus if you were fasting, you would miss this all the time. So the things that you need to look at for non-fasting are going to be triglycerides, they're going to be insulin and glucose, and then even GGT can be helpful there as well and can be affected by that non-fasting. But these are the markers that we look at that can tell us, hey, what is truly going on with your metabolic state? Do you have insulin resistance? Do you have metabolic syndrome? Are you creeping into prediabetes? And in the next couple of years, you're going to be there, and we may not even know that. So we had a question here. I'll jump on this one. Elisa, My husband has been dealing with night sweats, daily fatigue, and low energy. Should he get a blood test done? Absolutely. So this is where, if you are dealing with issues like this, where most people, if they've got cancer, if they've got a major disease state, something like that, MS, they have already gone to the doctor. They've already figured out all those things. Where this type of blood work truly excels is for somebody like this that just doesn't feel well, that is having these weird night sweats, that they're, he might even be getting man boobs. He's low energy, low motivation, all these things. But you've got to figure out why he's truly feeling that way. It's not because he's got a full-blown disease state and he's going to die soon. That's not 99.9% of the time. That's not what's going on. But it's this underlying why that we have to get to. So for your husband there, the night sweats, a couple different things that could be. That could be the adrenals are being stimulated because that blood sugar is crashing. So the blood sugar goes down in the middle of the night. If you're getting night sweats, it may not be a female hormone issue for you females out there. It could be a blood sugar swing. So as that blood sugar dips down, the adrenals kick in, and then you kick out glucose from the liver. So now you've got sugar running around the body, but you've also got adrenaline going around the body. So I've had women lay out a towel before they go to bed, and they wake up in this drenched state because they think, oh, it must be my hormones. Well, it's adrenal hormones, not female hormones. The other thing that could be going on with your husband there is that it could be that it's he's converting his testosterone over to estrogen. So absolutely you need to get a blood test done. I wouldn't be surprised if his estradiol is going up on the estrogen hormones, if he's aromatizing, basically turning that testosterone into estrogen, potentially getting man boobs, could be getting hot flashes, all of these different things. But if testosterone is low, then you're going to have low motivation, low muscle tone. He could be working out all the time and not building muscle tone there as well, and that could be that fatigue and that low energy also. So absolutely, this is the perfect case to get that blood work done. And the nice part, we can drop ship. So even if your doctor won't run hormones and adrenals and inflammation and do things non-fasting and all that, we can drop ship this anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world, and get these blood work tests done. So great question there, and kind of that segue into the non-fasting. So I would totally want to see what his insulin is doing. I've had people, they come in and they're 62 on their glucose, which is low, and it'll actually say LC, low critical level, and their insulin is still up at like 80. I don't want insulin over 10, 12, maybe 15 at the most non-fasting, and they're at 80 on their insulin, meaning they're going to keep pulling glucose out of the bloodstream. So if that glucose is already low and their insulin is still high, they're going to keep going lower and lower and lower and get more and more problems here. So this is why we've got to do the non-fasting blood work. And then from there, that's why you get, I just took mine off last week, but that's why you get your continuous glucose monitor on. And then you're able to see exactly throughout the day why it's going up, why it's going down, do more of the good stuff, less of the bad stuff. In July, I'm going to be doing a five-part masterclass all on blood sugar. I'm going to be giving you guys every step, every detail you need to stabilize your blood sugar. So look for that one. That's going to be a free masterclass coming out. We'll start putting some of the information out next month and get you guys ready for that one. Hey, Charlene, Kansas City area. I need a list of the most important blood work to have done soon to help with Sjogren's and Raynaud's. My symptoms are slowly getting more pronounced. Can either of these two conditions be reversed? Hey, Sandy in Illinois as well. Absolutely, Charlene. So Sjogren's and Raynaud's are both autoimmune conditions, and we help patients with autoimmune all the time. And whether you say it's reversed or in remission or repaired or healed or whatever you want to verbalize it, I know the body can do it. I know personally because I've seen my mom truly heal from MS. She had MS to the point where she was in a wheelchair, had to go on disability, and now she's 79 years old, does grading boot camp. She does her nitric oxide dump every day, this 4-minute boost multiple times a day. She's out gardening, taking my kids fishing, all types of things, and she doesn't have MS anymore. There's literally no more plaquing on her spine and brain. So how does that happen? Well, the body truly can heal and can reverse the damage that is there. Does everybody get to that point? No, and yet you can be way better shape. You can have less destruction, less damage going on, and actually start repairing these systems. So absolutely check out, just go ahead and put down a link in YouTube there for one of the autoimmune videos, and tons of information on that and how you can go about actually getting your autoimmune better. So here's the markers that you need to be testing. You need to be looking for ferritin. I say ferritin is always the number one most important marker. If I could only run one test on everybody, I would run ferritin. Ferritin is stored iron. Too high is going to be inflammation, fatty liver, insulin resistance, triglycerides high, C-reactive protein inflammation high, all these other things. Ferritin low is going to be leaky gut, malabsorption. You're not getting those good nutrients in there. So ferritin, you want to run a complete iron panel with all of the iron binding components, everything in there. You want to run an A1C. An A1C tells you about the average of the last 3 months of your blood sugar. And most people are saying, oh, that's just a diabetes marker. But no, I can see if somebody's averaging low. I can see if somebody's averaging good, but their swings are all over the place, which is even more damaging than just some high glucose. You want to look at insulin, and again, non-fasting insulin, because that's going to tell us way more about insulin resistance than a fasting ever will. So you've got to run that insulin. You're going to run your inflammatory markers, so your C-reactive protein, your homocysteine. You've got to check for that inflammation going on in the body. You've got to check your hormones, all of the estrogens, progesterone, testosterone, your adrenal hormones, your DHEA, cortisol. You've got to run those. Looking at your full thyroid with your free and total T3 and T4. Looking at your Hashimoto's markers, seeing if you have autoimmune going on with the thyroid. GGT is a fatty liver marker that you need to look at. Uric acid. There's a bunch of books coming out recently on uric acid, but we've been running uric acid tests for years, and you've got to run uric acid in there. So these are some of the basics, along with your CBC, CMP, some of those basic markers that you're looking at. But these are the things that you need to be doing year in and year out. If you've got health issues, every 6 months, every 3 months, you need to be looking at these markers. I just had mine run about 2-3 months ago. I've been doing some different things, wore my CGM again, working on some different markers that I want to change. And so I'm going to get another blood draw today on those markers that were out of balance and see if I'm actually making the changes. So you've got to put the work in, put the time in, look at these, figure out what's going on, and then make the changes. If you can't figure it out yourself, we are here to help you guys. And if you can't get the blood work, can't get your doctor to run it, we can drop ship this blood work anywhere in the country, even up in Canada, down in Mexico, anywhere around the world, we can get that blood work to you. Angie, do you check all these in your initial blood work? Absolutely, and even more in there, but definitely. And this is, for about $250, we can get all of these markers done. Vitamin D, immune system markers, all types of different things, where if you go to the lab and if insurance isn't going to pay for it, if you haven't met your deductible, I've seen it upwards of $3,000 for the exact same panel. And we can drop ship that. That can be to you in a couple of days. You get it run, we get it back in a week. It overnights to the lab in California. We get it back within a week, and we'll sit down with you and tell you exactly what's going on and why you're experiencing life the way that you are. My iron levels are now normal. Do I still need to take iron tablets? This is from Australia, I believe. So here's the deal. If you fixed why your iron was low in the first place, then you probably don't. But if all you did was take iron, then you probably still do need to take iron. So here's the deal. If you just take a supplement, and don't fix the problem, you're not going to ever be able to come off of that supplement and be able to be fine. You're going to go back and have the same issues. So you got to look at leaky gut, absorption, all types of different things. Billy, I need to get my blood work done with you again. Been a few years now. Yep. Good to see you. And absolutely. So if any of you guys, previous patients are out there watching, if you have not had that blood work done within a year, drop us a line. Let's get it rerun. You've slipped a little bit, and some of you may be maybe dialed in and doing it perfectly, but most of us slip a little bit, and that's the great part about that blood work as well, is it keeps us on track, keeps us dialed in. You can't lie, just like my book, Blood Sugar Doesn't Lie. Well, your blood work won't lie either, so you've got to stay consistent. Look at that blood work. Just give us a call, Bill, and we can get that run. So, all right, guys, good to see you. Get that blood work tested. Know the information. Don't guess. You need to get this dialed in, and this is what's going to get you your energy back, get you your moods back, get you your adrenals working well, your blood sugar stabilized, your weight in a better place. All of these different things. If you can get that blood work done and start chipping away system by system by system, you're going to get your life back. If you need help, we're here for you guys. Take care and stay strong out there.